Hi, I'm Thomas the Hermit,
And I'm Chris Poulos.
and we are members of the Humble Holy Laity, a
Yeah.
group that is about learning how to do contemplative prayer and also praying for the times that we are in. And we're also very much involved on social media. And we did a Utopiana, Chris and I did a Utopiana last night where we talked about the movie Fatima and we also talked about the messages of Fatima.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the more glaring messages, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. But I was demonetized on
Ah,
this particular video.
the heck, man.
This is
I
a
was I was shocked.
PG-13 video. I
Right.
mean, my goodness. And we were talking about prayer, and of course, I mean, there was some things in there, but it looked like to me, I mean, we talked a little bit about the struggle of Marxism trying to take over Portugal, and we
Yep.
talked a little bit about the conflicts that are going on within our country. And
Yeah.
lo and behold, I got demonetized. Now, demonetization is not a big deal. What would I have accrued if I had been monetized? Well, you
Right.
might be surprised. Maybe I would have made 25 cents. But the very idea of it and the using the demonetization thing as a way to control people's voices, you know, do I
Right.
feel controlled on Thomas the Hermit? I do a little bit.
Yeah.
There are times when I've told Chris, you know what? I want this video to be monetized, so we're not going to talk about this, and this.
Right.
That's already some form of censorship right there. And how many other people who have, larger channels are going to feel like holding back so that they don't lose income? you
Mm-hmm.
know um, and so that's a small way that people are being censored on YouTube.
Right.
Now, I myself have been watching my channel get less and less promoted over the last 6 months. I was putting out a video, let's say a year ago, and getting around, let's say, 300 views within a couple of hours.
Hmm.
Now I'm lucky if I get 100 views on a video, and furthermore, the promotion of the video dies off after 2 days.
Wow.
They used to promote the video almost about a week or week and a half, and they're like slowly ratcheting it down.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm not too threatened on my channel because my channel is about prayer, and they'll be lucky if they can stop the power of prayer. But in any case, are they hurting what I'm doing? Yes, they are hurting what I am doing. The other thing that they've done, see, because I have to deal with YouTube. YouTube has its way of doing things. All right. One of the things that they have done is they've created groups of people. All right. So if there's a bunch of Orthodox radical Catholics, they're all in a group.
Yeah.
And YouTube knows, the computer algorithm knows who's who. They know who you are.
Right.
That's spooky right there, you know. But in knowing who you are, they actually are using that to direct particular viewpoints to you. But that means that viewpoints that are contrary to your ideology are not being promoted towards you. And YouTube didn't used to be like that. YouTube used to be a little bit freer in its forum. Now they're doing that because they're trying to increase the amount of time people spend on YouTube. That's why they're doing it, or that's why they say they're doing. But how convenient that you can take a couple of 100,000 people within the sea of what are we up to, like 7 or 8 billion people in the world? I do not
Something
know,
like that. Yeah.
and you take only 200,000 people, and then you have basically created a jail for them, so that they can't get out and have their opinion in the larger world. So if you
Right.
think that YouTube has become a friendly place for getting out, it used to be a place where people could get their ideas out, but it's not happening anymore.
No, no, and this is a problem I've seen, as a avid YouTuber myself in terms of watching videos. I see it happen all the time. But ever since Google took over this shindig, the shady Google themselves, things have just been very peculiar. I mean, first of all, you know, they have these rules, okay, and you're not supposed to speak in a derogatory manner towards certain people. But Thomas, we didn't say anything derogatory towards anyone. We were very educational in what we were discussing. I mean, what like are we going to go the route of we can't talk about literal history? I mean, Portugal happened. The Marxism taking over happened. So there's nothing I can see that the algorithm would pick up like, Thomas and Chris bash on stupid libtard commies or something on the title, or
the algorithm gets easily triggered on my channel. Chris doesn't know that. Okay, so that they're filtering everything, and then what I have to do is I have to submit what is called a manual review, and then some person in Google land will look at a video that I've created. Probably they'll get a download of the words, and then they'll look at those words closely, and then they'll make a decision as to whether or not they're going to monetize it or not. Right. And so they basically, somebody manually looked at our content and said, you know what, we're going to censor Fatima. That's the bottom line. The bottom line is that they're acting like the story of Fatima is a problem, as far as I'm concerned.
Right, right. And I've seen this, there's another YouTuber called Tim Pool. What he does is he gives little updates. He does like 4 or 5 videos a day. The guy's just constantly looking for info. And I hear him say, well, I'm going to have to say this, and this means the video is going to get demonetized. I've heard people say this on reporting like second or third information, which may in fact get Hollywood or some, leftist big organization in trouble just for reporting something that happened. And I'm like, they don't say shadow ban, but they do say, oh, I'm going to get demonetized. So everyone knows that this is what happens without any explanation. It's just
the demonetization is very much up there. And Google is trying to make an argument. Now, here's what happened. There were people that were doing things on YouTube, and then some of the advertisers began pulling out of YouTube. Basically, the libs began, pulling out of YouTube, and so they kind of crunched down YouTube, and then YouTube changed its policies and started censoring people. And I think they demonetize 4 times more the conservative voice than they do the liberal voice.
Right, right. It's all about money and an agenda, in my opinion. I mean, so let me get this straight, YouTube. You can have, despite all of your rules, you can have terrorists and pedophile channels up, and they get taken down way after conservative channels. So basically what you're telling us is the conservative voice is more dangerous than anything. It could be a child molester on YouTube, and even more sketchy. Now, this is something that I watched some interesting videos where these guys that go on deep web explorations, and they do all these things, and a lot of them run into, sex trafficking stuff on YouTube, like people trying to get data via YouTube, not the deep web, the surface web. And then there's this movie that came out, which is like this very shady, almost pro-pedophilic movie on Netflix called Cuties or something. The guy's reporting this very sketchy movie get demonetized, or the guys reporting sexual predators get demonetized for having pedo in their speech, but the movie trailer can stay up, right? Or the actual pedophile channel who's like the guy who's literally in court can stay up. So there's something very odd with their priorities, Thomas. It's like I don't know about this one. I mean, this duck don't quack anymore.
Well, I mean, there's two legal things that seem to be protected by the right. One is pedophilia, and the other is human trafficking. And even though I can't point to you actual facts or whatever, why are they doing that? Why is it taking all the way to President Trump to do something about human trafficking? My God, we're in the 21st century, and slavery was supposed to have been ended a long time ago, and yet we have this thing going on. Right. If you think about it, that's kind of weird because BLM, slavery, human trafficking. You're on the side of human traffickers. You're supporting slavery, BLM. This is really nuts.
Yeah.
But they're also doing other things within the algorithm, which is causing less and less exposure to happen. Now Anthony Brian Logan, right, Chris?
Yes.
Well, he just put out a video that says he's being censored by Facebook, Twitter, and what's the other one? I don't.
I didn't see the recent one. But,
okay, well, and he's saying, and because he was trying to talk about one of these BLM activists who'd committed a serious crime. They don't want people talking about what these evil people have done.
Right.
They don't want that. There's a narrative happening that is going to be on the crunch right now, since we're 2 months into the election, and they are crunch. And the reason I'm pointing out about Brian Logan is he's a black man.
Right.
And they haven't been messing with him.
Yeah.
Now they are.
Right.
And they're becoming very, very disturbed. I was watching, they had this, the boating thing in the Potomac today, and I was watching that. It was being hosted by on Right Side Broadcasting by, a black man and a black woman.
Yeah.
And we're seeing more and more, internet folks that are black, and we're, I really freaked out because there's this guy who did this like YMCA MAGA thing. Did you see that, Chris?
Is it Bryson Gray, or is it?
No, it wasn't Bryson Gray. This was another talented young man.
No, I've not seen that one.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. They're like in the middle of this protest, and they start doing this MAGA to the YMCA, MAGA, out in the thing, and then we have these funny ladies, the deplorable choir, and so we got all this music coming out and black support and all this, and lo and behold, YouTube has finally going to start cranking it down, and all of them are going to start cranking it down. What is the point for you, the viewer? Here's the point. They have figured out that if they keep saying the same false narrative over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, because they were saying it over again before and we were ignoring them. Now they are beginning to repeat it ad nauseum. I saw this thing on Facebook, and it was somebody saying like, well, I'm looking at both voices, and I'm beginning to, sometimes I'm like, well, we're prejudiced, and then I turn around and I say, oh no, I want to go beat up Antifa, and it's like, Okay, well, I had that little voice of guilt pop into my head the other day. And you know what? I said, you know what? Marxism has nothing to do with prejudice.
Yes.
Marxism has nothing to do with prejudice. BLM has nothing to do with prejudice. This is about what Mary talked about in Fatima when she said, what did she say?
Errors of Russia will spread across the land.
The errors of Russia. The errors of Russia is what we are dealing with.
Right.
This BS about BLM, but the media, the mainstream media, has been repeating this ad nauseum since George Floyd.
Right.
It's all they have been racism and blah blah blah, and it's beginning to filter into our heads. Does anybody hear what I'm saying? You know, but it's a lie. And what they're going to do is they're going to crank down the voices, the conservative voices, as much as they can, as they keep repeating the mantra that we are prejudiced. I saw this lunatic girl. There's this crazy whacked out girl that they caught, that she went onto this rally and was trying to mess with the people at the pro-Trump rally, and she was there. And she called the police and said, "What are you doing allowing all these racist people to be in our city?" And she was hyperventilating like this, and I thought, man, somebody hyperventilating like that for like 10 minutes should have passed out,
Right.
But she was pulling all the little feminine tricks that she could, and deceptive tricks that she could, trying to say why the police needed to get the pro-Trump people out of the city. You know what? It's a scary thing to actually believe that these people believe that normal Americans are full of racial hatred.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
Congratulations,
believe it.
CNN.
They pulled it off. Yeah,
They pulled it off.
CNN and MS Dumb BC and all these other, fake news have pulled it off. They have
Yes.
convinced a large segment of our. So what do we really got going on now? We
Right.
really do have people who believe that narrative. The
Yeah.
narrative gets shaken a little bit when they get exposed to the the conservative media that shows blacks as being a part of our movement, but they're going to try to ratchet all that down. Does anybody feel me?
Yep. Yeah.
Chris, you want to say anything?
Yeah, and well, the first thing is that when you really look at what's happening, it's like I would have given YouTube and these social media giants the benefit of the doubt if it really was about money, but there's obviously this alternate reality they're trying to plug everyone into. It's a completely fake reality. You have every single, and this is the creepiest thing, all right? It's one thing for Zuckerberg or, one or two guys at the helm, just saying, all right, guys, we're going to put a little algorithm here, we're going to censor everyone. But this just came out, how there are district attorneys across the country refusing to prosecute rioters. Now that I know that's been happening, right? And then every time you have a stinking Antifa riot, they call it a protest for George Floyd. It is so disgusting. And who do you think you're kidding? So it is like, they're gaslighting at this point. It's pure gaslighting. It's pure get Biden in at all
that
means
word
necessary.
that word gaslighting is becoming more and more from people around. Everyone needs to know what gaslighting is in, because these people are gaslighters.
Yes.
They're gaslighters. And I'm going to say something more. I'm sorry to cut you off, but this thing about gaslighting is very, very important. Okay? Gaslighting is recognized as a technique of abuse.
Yes.
There's other techniques of abuse, like there's monetary abuse, like when you withhold money from a spouse or whatever so that they do what you want. There's physical abuse, beating up someone. There's psychological abuse. Gaslighting is listed as a form of psychological abuse. There's another form of psychological abuse called crazy making.
Yes.
Crazy making. Crazy making is when you try to make someone else psychologically ill. But gaslighting is very similar. Crazy making is like, you're just crazy. You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And you're full of it. Now, who has pushed this? The libs have pushed the abuse narrative on men. Okay, all right. And I'm not saying that men don't need to be responsible for abuse that they do. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is the libs have become the abusers.
Yeah.
They are the gaslighters. They are physically abusing and intimidating people. They are the crazy makers. And when you your mind begins to think, well, maybe I am, no, you're not prejudiced. You're not prejudiced. Do you have a little? You may have a little bit, but you don't have enough to deny a person of a different race a job or an opportunity, or to sit down with tea with them, or even allow them to marry your freaking daughter. You're not concerned about it. You are not prejudiced.
Right.
Are there wacky prejudiced people in? Yes, there's a fringe group. The KKK, who are those other? The skinheads and people like that. The neo-Nazis. Those people are whacked out of their brains. I ran into them in 2016 when I was online, and all I was doing it because I hadn't started my channel yet. And what I was doing online is I was arguing, and whenever a skinhead or a neo-Nazi came up, I said, you know what? We don't need you. Trump doesn't need you. Go away.
Yeah.
We don't need any neo-Nazi white supremacist trash. This is a rant, folks.
I think our biggest weakness, and I think I see these MAGA rallies, I think they're adapting and we need to keep adapting. There's a guy, he's like this British guy. I got to get him. I keep referencing him, but he is very much into talking about the wiles of a narcissist, how a narcissist works. And I talked to Liz about this, one of our HHL members, all the time. I said, this has very little to do with policy. This has to do with control freak, crazy, evil people that like to use, just like a narcissist would, self-righteous and psychological abuse tactics to shut down and to get the power that they want, whatever it is, whatever in their crazy minds they think it is. And they're using politics currently because the liberals and the socialists have figured out, just like their boy Alinsky did, that you can emotionally manipulate people by using their own sense of compassion against them and gaslighting them, right? That's how you get the stupid capitalist pigs to fall in line. So make them think they're greedy. Make them think they're racist. Make them think they're the scum of the earth, worse than Satan himself, and you got them in the bag, right? Just, it's sick stuff. But we have to start digesting that these are sick people. I think it's very sad. I think people are still in shock. Like, how could someone be so twisted and maniacal that they could, have a plan within a plan within a plan and pretend to be good and then pretend to be bad and pretend we're bad? There are people that are that psychotic, and we have to start really calling it like it is.
Well, you know what? I'm going to add to what you just said, Chris. Okay, Scott Peck, is very famous for a book called The Road Less Traveled. He's less famous for another book called The People of the Lie. The People of the Lie. The people of the lie are those that have been so involved in lying about themselves and about everything that they don't know the difference between a lie and the truth after a while.
That's also possible. Yep.
And these people, what they do is they become the epitome of evil, according to Scott Peck. And he tells this story, Chris. This is an amazing story about a young boy who came to him. Scott Peck is a psychologist. I don't know anything about him currently. Um, and the little boy comes to him, and he's fidgeting. You know how boys are, and he's something's bothering him, but he doesn't want to talk about it. And finally, Scott Peck gets him to talk, and he says, "My parents gave me a gun." And Scott Peck says, "Okay, well, they gave you a gun. I mean, you can go, target shooting, whatever. That sounds like a fun thing for a boy to have." It was the same gun that my brother killed himself with.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Scott Peck immediately knew he was dealing with a person, a liar, an evil entity. An evil. See, us who are conservative are working very hard to live our lives right.
Right.
We're doing everything that we can, whether we're evangelicals or whether we're Catholics. We're doing, the evangelicals trying to live according to the Bible, and us Catholics, of course, we're trying to live according to the teachings of the church and the Bible. And these people are not trying to do that.
Yeah.
They have their God. Their God is utopia.
Yeah.
And they're trying to create it, and it doesn't matter how they do it. And that's written in liberation. You know that, Chris, that's written in liberation theology. It's called praxis. Whatever makes it happen.
There's a force behind that. It's like, we call it the Antichrist spirit, but for those maybe watching that haven't been tuning in, when you get enlightened, all right, there's different kinds of enlightenment. There's intellectual enlightenment, there's spiritual enlightenments. But when something takes a hold of you, and you truly believe in the anarchist city on the hill, you are so. I mean, there are people that are just completely sick and evil that want to do whatever they want. But then there's, like Thomas, you're saying, you can get so emotionally charged and brainwashed and manipulated and so caught in yourself and your own self-glory that you have created this new headspace, and you create your own new 10 commandments. You see, and that's what I see with a lot of these people.
That's what they're doing. They have created their own religion.
You go up to them. You're like, you see a black conservative guy goes up to this white girl. It's a white. That's just the weirdest thing ever. This big buff black conservative guy looks like he's been in the hood since birth. He's been dodging bullets and doing. He's been kicking butt since birth. Little, entitled white girl talking to him about how there's racism afoot. He's saying, I literally have been through everything. I've seen Tupac, his concerts. I know it all. And she's talking him down like she knows better. And it's like, but you see, in her crazy, misinformed, fluff brain mind, because George Floyd died, Satan has now taken over white people's minds. Not mine, of course. I'm the exception to the white people that are racist. Of course, me, the white liberal.
Yeah, and it's kind of wacky that all of these protesters are freaking white. And they're little girls.
You can't make it up. Yeah, all gated community people. Gated community to the hilt. It's insane. It's like it's a cartoon at this point. This is like a joke, right? We're on TV. Is this the Truman Show? Are we like, what kind of story are we in?
Hey, Chris, and those ignorant little white girls are hanging around with thugs.
and they listen to all the music and listen to Cardi B, right? Oh my gosh, it's a parody. It's a
No, what do you
parody.
think's going to happen to those little white girls with all those thugs around?
Yeah, nothing good. Nothing good. And then they call for the cops when they get shot or are sexually attacked. Where are the cops? Someone call
Oh, call the
the
cops! My
cops.
goodness.
Children, infants, spoiled infants in adult
There's
bodies.
no
I mean,
continuity of thought.
no,
This is one
no,
thing
no
that has
awareness.
happened in America is we all have fractured thinking. You know who
Yes,
brings our minds together? The Holy Spirit.
yes, he
The
does.
Holy Spirit teaches us to think in a more concise way. Try to understand what I'm saying. Fractured thoughts. In a lot of these people's minds, they can think of one thing and then the opposite, and it exists in the same brain. Exactly what we're talking about. Defund the cops, defund the cops. Oh, there's trouble. Call the cops,
Yeah,
call the cops. See, there's no unity within these people's
it's
brains.
a perfect storm. You got the marijuana, you got the quick tweet, you got the bad education system, you got no God. It's like the most fractured, perfect storm I've ever seen in my life. How do they not get into car accidents? Just, oh, wait, that's right. They block traffic and then they get hit and they complain about that too. So why are these parents spending tuition money? Hey, parents, where are you at, boys?
Oh, I
Are
think
you
I
noticing
think
what's...
these parents, Chris, are as sick as they are.
They have to be.
Yeah, there's somebody who
I
has
mean,
taught them how to do this. You
yeah,
know.
my parents would have, I mean, yeah,
So the message tonight is you're not crazy. You have been gaslit.
yes,
And they're going to continue
abused.
this. They're going to continue. They're going to abuse conservative channels. I do not know to what degree, you know. And they're going to keep doing it on social media. They're going to try to quiet the conservative voice as much as they can. And they're going to try to convince everyone that they're crazy and that you're racist and that you need to get on board with Joe Biden.
Hey,
And
the
what is
blackest man in the world.
hey, speaking of Joe Biden, I,
Yo,
I,
Joe.
I, I can't believe this guy. He looks like he's in the beginning of dementia.
He does.
He
He
sits
does.
there and he talks and then he loses his thought and then he comes back to it. And it's like, you know what? I'm not trying to make fun of old people with dementia. I'm saying if you're going to be the president of the United States, you can't be that whacked out. But you know what? I want us all to think about something. If the Democratic, gods have figured out that Joe Biden is their man, then they have a plan. Let's all
Yeah.
beware. I don't know
Yeah.
if it's making Kamala Harris the president or if they're thinking that they're going to control everything that Joe Biden does. I do not know what is their plan or if they plan to lose the election and then do something else. These people are
But you,
extremely evil and devious.
but you know what? They get what they are getting the representative they deserve. Joe Biden is the symbol of what the left has become. He is a fractured mind, sick, evil person who is nothing but empty platitudes. Not a single original thought in his body's cellular structure. Isn't that interesting? I used to think, well, why the heck would anyone vote for this guy? He's a white dude, and I don't think he's gay. He's something else, but I don't think gay is it. But you know what? This is the land of empty, hypocritical platitudes. You're a Democrat. It's liberal. It's liberal. It's okay. It's liberal. You can get your free kicks as long as you have the liberal adjective on there.
All right, so the next thing that we need to look at is, okay, what do we do? Okay,
Right.
here's my advice. Anything you can. You know, if they tie your hands, kick them.
Yep.
If they tie your hands and your feet, hit them with your head.
Right.
Do not give in. If all you have is is only your neighbor to say, you know what, something's really wrong here, then do it. If that's the only person you can reach. We cannot surrender. We cannot give in. We cannot give up any territory. We need to take territory. We do not need to back off, back down, quit, or give in to these people. Even if, and what do I mean by even if? What does it say in Revelations? Those who are destined for the sword will get the sword, and those who are destined for captivity will receive captivity. Let's not be afraid. Let's be brave like the children of Fatima. Let's be brave like the Portuguese people who stood up to Marxism. And then later, the Spanish conservatives fought against Marxism. They had their battle cry was Fatima. Let us remember Fatima.
Yes.
Let it, Viva Cristo Rey and Fatima. Let's
Amen.
not give in. Let's not back down. Let's not quit. Let's not cry. Instead of crying, let's get on our knees and pray. Chris, want to close us out?
Well, we have to learn to hate evil again, Thomas. And that doesn't mean hating people. It means hating the sick stuff.
We have to learn how to hate evil.
We have to learn how to hate evil. Because this is just, if this is how far they're going to take it, what are they going to take it into the next level?
They will keep going. And not only that, they have the spirit of the Antichrist. The devil is backing them.
Yes, absolutely.
So, what more can we say? Well, I want everyone to be blessed. Let's continue to pray. We have seen God pouring out his grace upon us, and we need to remember that. We need to remember that he is here for us. He is giving us his assistance. Mother Mary has been appointed as our protectorate for these times. That's what we've been learning. Let's go to her. Let's go and ask her for help. Let's go to Father God and ask him for help. Let's keep our lives clean, and let's keep the lies of the Marxist out of our heads. Because you are not prejudiced, you are not evil, you are the good people of this world, and God bless you. Keep up and fight the good fight. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.